All right, what is up, guys? Day 7 of the 60-day SMMA sprint. And so within the past 24-ish hours, we collected 12K, signed 2 new clients, and things are okay. The sales system is feeling really good. And as you continue to dial in your sales system, now a really unique thing is this, is I just spoke about this with my mentor, and that's if you have the best sales system for any marketing agency, and you're spending the exact same amount as your competitors, you will make way more money and help way more people. And so oftentimes you guys might be thinking of the problem differently and wrong. And that's like this. So if I'm spending $500 a day in ad spends, you need to keep track of your KPIs. You need to keep track of all your data, all your metrics, because if you don't, then you're basically walking in the dark. You have no idea what the problems are, because if you don't know what your show up rate is on an Excel sheet as a percentage, then how can you know what the problem is? And so, for example, if I'm spending $500 a day in ad spend and my show up rate is 20%, that is a problem. In the agency space, we obviously should be aiming high. We should be aiming at bare minimum 80%. And so if I take my show up rate from 20% to 40%, that basically means I'm going to double the revenue in my company. Now I know that's like generally speaking, but that's true. And so the problem isn't increasing the ad spend, spending more. The problem is fixing the creatives, getting the show up rate to be where it needs to be. And that actually means having a legit sales system. Now, the way I think about this is each department of the business is a business within the business. And so I'll have meetings with different team members in different departments, and I really want to compartmentalize in my brain these different departments and think about them differently. So essentially, like as I continue to hire, as you continue to hire, we have to be hiring A players and letting them do their thing and letting them operate, as an entrepreneur within the business as opposed to just an entrepreneur themselves. And so we have to let them do their thing, and I'm thinking about this as a business within the business, so that once I do hire a closer and I'm fully delegating the entire front ends, then they could do their own thing. They could use our system. I want feedback from that, and then we can improve it over time. But dialing in your sales process on the front end is probably the most important thing. Cash flow is king. Any business on earth, or most businesses on earth, the way they typically go under is because they just aren't having any cash coming in. And so, with understanding this, you want to dial it in. And what does this actually mean, right? Like, I keep saying dialing in your sales process, but what does this actually mean? My puppy. Bro, come here. It basically means that if you're taking sales calls, you need to get really good at closing. You need to take more reps. You need to get feedback. You need to watch your own sales calls. You need to increase your awareness. And you need a mentor. You do. You need somebody to tell you where you're wrong, where you're right, and to kind of give you, positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement. And so, you need to get really good at sales. Sales, we all know the saying too. If you know sales, you're never going to go broke. If you know sales and marketing, you're never going to go broke. If you know sales, marketing, and how to run ads, you're for sure never going to go broke. And so, becoming a good closer, tracking everything on Excel sheets, or if you're using Claude, just automate it. It doesn't matter how you track it, but you need to know your KPIs. We have leads, bookings, shows, closes. You need to know everything. That's the second part. The third is, which is systems, right? So you need systems, because if I told you tomorrow that you have 100, or if I told you in the next month you have to take 200 sales calls, like, do you have the systems to take that amount of demands? And so when I close, I pass it off seamlessly to the rest of my team. I have an automated onboarding. I just fill out one form, boom, 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 sub account, automations in my project management tool, in Slack with the team, boom, it's all done. And that's the system aspect. So we have closing, tracking, systems. And then a fourth thing is making sure that I as a leader am actually, enjoyable to work with and am actually worthy of working with. This is like a leadership thing that comes a little bit later on if you do have a team. And so, like, how do I make it so, my setter is, energized and enthusiastic on a day to day basis about working, about hopping on the Slack, about hopping on the Google Meets with the team. Like, I want it to build a really cool company culture. And that's another question that's in the process of being answered as I'm scaling to, 6 figures a month right now. So that's day 7, and I'll see you guys for day 8.